Welcome to SoMo Garage, bringing you the latest racing news, sim racing talk, driver chat, and highlights from the SoMo Racing Leagues with SoMo Racing League drivers. Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Get ready for 1 hour of kicking the tires in the SoMo Garage with your hosts, Aaron Reilly and Paul Zotta. SoMo Garage starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to SoMo Garage. I'm Aaron Reilly along with Paul Zotta and Joe Mitchell. Guys, I'd like to take a second and honor the brave men and women that serve our country or have served our country. They have paid the ultimate sacrifice, their lives for our freedom. So tomorrow, take a moment and think about everything that you have and think about our brave soldiers that battle on the front lines, and for our retired veterans and POW missing in action. Also pray for their families who have to endure such a hard thing, watching their loved ones leave and may never return. Guys, we approach this Memorial Day and we think about having fun and having a great time, and it's not the right message to send out there. So definitely think about our soldiers and everybody who gives us our freedom and fights for our freedom and pays the ultimate sacrifice. So I just wanted to say that. So that being said, guys, how you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing all right. Same thing, man. I've been watching a lot of different documentaries and stuff, and I have a lot of friends, a lot of family that are veterans. Even back in the grandfather and great grandfather era. And, it makes you think with all the things that are going on today in the world, man, hopefully that's something that will never get forgotten. It seems like the trend nowadays is to try and, brush all this stuff under the table and erase a lot of our history. So hopefully there's enough people that are going to keep this alive and, fight back for what America stands for. I know we don't get political here, so I don't want to get political, but, I try to teach my kids, and I want them to know the history behind it. And right or wrong, whatever wars and things America's gotten into, pulled into, or whatever, the facts are the facts, and we have our freedom because of them. So we thank all the vets who are active, who are, out, and the vets that gave all, and to their families, big sacrifices.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I don't know. I get sentimental when it gets around this time of year. But yeah, big thanks and a big shout out to all the men and women who have served our country and all the ones that will serve our country in the future. Everything that we do is because of them. And if people didn't do it, I just couldn't imagine what the world would be like. So a big thanks to everyone involved in the military and even police force too. Everyone that keeps us safe and allows us to have the freedoms to sit here and enjoy things like this.
So guys, it's been a big week of racing. We got through the 600, and 600 went pretty darn well. I think what did we end up with? 2 cautions?
Yeah, 2 cautions for 400 laps, man. That was just insane.
Yeah, I'm still sore from that. That was oh man, I don't even think endurance was the correct word, but that race was just brutal physically. I don't think I've ever lost that much weight from sweating and just nerves of running a race that long.
Well, I got the picture up here. I know Joe doesn't want to come out and say it, but Joe Mitchell, was the winner. He did manage to take home the win that night on the 600. And I got to say, man, for the most part, the guys that were out there ran a smart race. There was 400 laps, and it wasn't just pacing around trying to, stay in line or anything. I mean, it was racing from the drop of the green flag till the checkers. I mean, it was just an all-out hard-fought battle. We had 2 ties for most laps led between I believe it was Seth Hatchell and Keith Miato, or was it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Seth and Keith.
106 laps each that they led that night, and they were pretty strong all along. I mean, there was a couple of guys that got caught up in one of those cautions, some strong cars that got taken out that were definitely, up front runners. But man, I'll tell you what, doing these long races at SoMo and doing full races is just, I'm telling you, it's a real test, but it's a whole lot of fun when they work out like this.
Yeah, I agree. It was a lot of fun. In my opinion, I thought the race went actually fairly quickly for running the whole 400 laps. I think we got done about, was it a little after 11:30?
Yeah, I think it was about 3.5 hours, maybe total time from the service start to the checkered flag. So I mean, it really went quick. There were so many green flag pit stops in between. Man, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was a crazy race. I mean, it was clean, and I don't know, being up front a lot. I was in the top 5 most of the night, and I kept making mistakes coming on the pit road. Like I had so much rear brake bias in the car that it was super loose coming off of the apron, and I spun around once, almost spun around the second time. And like the guys, Aaron was part of that group. Uh, they were lifting way before the corner trying to save their tires, and it just seemed like I kept compiling mistake after mistake, and I had to run the whole race 100%, and it was pretty rough. It wasn't the way I wanted to do it, that was for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole different mindset when you realize that you have that many laps in front of you to complete before you can even get to the checkered flag. So it, it's um, it's definitely a race of endurance, and also you have to be smart about how you approach the race, and you got to be careful because when you run like Joe just said he had to run, that's when you can make even more mistakes. So you know, definitely congratulations to you again, Joe. That was a good race. You definitely came on strong when you had to at the end, and definitely a well-deserved victory.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys. And I don't know, had it not been for the one caution late, I don't think that I would have been the winner. But yeah, I guess sometimes luck's on your side. I feel like I've had enough of it this season go the other way, so feels kind of good to have something go right.
Yeah, I was trying to. I was hoping my pit strategy I was playing was gonna work out for me in the end, but that late caution really that changed the whole complexion of the end of the race. So it worked out like it should have, and you know you came out the victor. So that's awesome, man. What now? I know the 600, the real 600, hasn't been completed yet. They're a matter of fact, I believe they're under rain delay right now, or they were a little while ago. Um, do you think, from watching maybe past 600 races, that the complexion of the race was similar to ours, or do you think it's a lot different?
I think, I mean, for the most part, I mean, it's Charlotte nighttime, and I guess we'll touch on this a little later, but they added that VHT to Charlotte as well, just to make it more grippy. And I think between the real world race being night and, well, I don't know if it's going to get the finish night, and it's still currently under delay right now, but like lower temps, high grip, um, I'd say it would be pretty similar to what we have, minus like the breakup in the race from the segments. I don't really see there being a major difference between that one and what we did.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I don't. I don't necessarily know if I like the segments or not. I think it does kind of reset everything and give everybody another crack or a fair chance at it again, and bunch everybody back up again. But I don't know. I kind of liked the strategy in our races, or our 600 last earlier in the week. I think that it was kind of cool to watch people be on different pit cycles, and and it's kind of like the luck of the draw at the end of the race. Who's going to be on that right pit cycle, who's going to have the freshest tires. So I mean, I like that. Some people get real bored with watching long green flag runs, and I get that. And I think restarts are cool and all that, but it seems like that's always when the melee happens. But maybe that's what NASCAR is trying to create here.
I think I would like to see them. I don't mind the segments and segment winners. I just don't think they should go to caution. Because I think it's still caution clock, atmosphere. If they just run it out, close the pits 2 laps before, like they're doing, to keep everybody out there. Then let them know who the winner is through in the top 10, and then just continue on green. But I know, a lot of people are against that also. They like to see that reset. The only thing is, it's like knowing when a caution's going to come out, you can kind of race, and that caution's going to come out. You're going to be able to go in, get 4 tires, get a chance to, try and use some pit strategy to get up front, and get a better start for the second segment. But I don't know. I'm still mixed on it. I like I said, I would like to see the cautions go away.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of defeats the purpose of having a race this length. I mean that, and the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600. There's some really long races on the schedule, and I think it like throwing a caution for an end of a segment kind of defeats the purpose of a race that length. It's supposed to be, you know, just a battle of attrition and strategy, and I think those competition cautions just it takes all that away, and you don't get to see like what we did in our race. That's a thing of the past now, and I don't know. I still have mixed emotions. I do like bunching the field back up because there's been some really exciting moments this year, but I mean, from just a racing perspective, it just defeats the purpose. Then making, they might as well make it the Coca Cola 300 if they're going to put segments in there. That's my thought process on it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't, like I stated earlier, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of splitting it up. Um, I think it sometimes brings some extra excitement at short tracks and whatnot, and but long races like that, I think they were meant to be long for a reason, and given breaks in between, I don't agree with it all. So the race, our 600 seemed to be pretty successful. We had about what Paul, like 20 drivers show up, something like
Yeah,
that.
there was 27 in the server when we first got on, and I think 2 guys didn't take the field, so 25 started.
Okay, 25. So do you think that maybe in the future, maybe we'll add another full race length to one of these tracks?
Oh yeah, even a lot of the feedback from the guys in the league, even Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights, guys like doing the long races. So we'll pick a couple here and there, and we'll do a full race. Might even be good to do like a full race finale, in the Cup Series at Homestead this year, and change things up. We usually go from, we're doing 145 laps. We usually go to about 170. We try to, just lengthen it up a little bit, but something we might kick around is doing a full length, especially the finale.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be that bad. That'd be 400 miles, I think, wouldn't it? Something like that. So, that'd be pretty cool to, have that, the first race and maybe something in the middle, and then the end of the the end of the series would be kind of cool to see something like that. I enjoyed it. I really thought it was going to be a lot harder to, you know, just be out there and be competitive that long. But to be honest with you, it wasn't really that bad. Once you kind of got into a groove and we had all those long green flag runs, it just the time and laps just clicked on by, and it was really good. I think we maybe ran about an hour longer than we normally do running 145 laps,
Yeah.
if that's believable, because a lot of times we finish around 10 or 10:30, when we have 10 or 12 cautions. So it was really cool to run that many more laps and finish only an hour ahead of normal where we normally would have. So
And
pretty cool.
and it was cool. We were talking about during the race maybe throwing a caution at lap 200 to kind of split it up a little bit, because it's not something that we normally do, full 400 laps. And as the race cycled out, there really wasn't any need for it. And part of it was, well, in case we get too spread out, it'd be nice, we'll throw a caution midway, kind of get everybody back together again. And even with the green flag pit stops, man, the guys still found each other and racing was still going on all through. I mean, not just up front. I mean, there was racing everywhere on the track. Even, like I was a couple laps down. I slid through my pits a couple times. I had some real bad luck, and I just really could never get a grip on the car. But even then, man, I was still racing for the lucky dog, with two other drivers, man, for, many, many laps, man, trying to get that lucky dog spot. And, the way it turned out, we just never needed it. And that was really good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to see all that because it's like you said, there was always a lot of battling going on. I didn't expect it to be like that. I kind of thought it was going to spread out, but yeah, it's like Aaron said, it took me about 50 or 60 laps, but once I finally got into a groove, I'm like, all right, yeah, I know what I have, and you feel comfortable, and yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun.
If I can, I know we talked about the Indy 500 the week before and the All-Star the week before, but we didn't have any pictures to show. So I'd like to just put up here real quick the All-Star race in the Lazy Days Racing Cup Series the Thursday before. We did it like NASCAR. We had guys coming down pit road full speed, getting tires, going back out, scoring their laps, and we ran that for their qualifying and starting position times. And then obviously the segments. Keith Mayato did win that race, and we mentioned it, and we were going to talk to Keith, but he got stuck working tonight, so he couldn't make it on. So we'll try to have him on next week if he's available. But I just wanted to put the picture up there and give him props. I mean, that was a great race. And then that Wednesday night, we did the first Indianapolis 500, and Chris Samard came out the winner in that one. And that also was another race with 200 laps in the DW12 cars. And that race actually went a little bit rougher than the 600, but I think it was still a good race. I think the guys that ran in it and then ran the 600 came into the 600 with a different mindset than they did coming into the 500. I don't think guys were prepared to do 200 laps. Some of the racing was a little bit hard up, right away and early on, and took out a lot of good drivers. But it still was good. It was something different, a car that we usually don't run. And I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys for winning those races. And that first Indianapolis 500, we've talked about it. A lot of the guys want to do another Indianapolis 500 again next year. So, we're going to keep that on the board and, try and do it again next year and hopefully have a little bit better results.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely it's definitely cool to see all this work out, and looking forward to definitely some future races that are run like that for sure. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we have plenty of stuff to talk about coming up, so we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Security in this office park is a joke. Last year I came to work with my spud gun in a duffel bag. I sat at my desk all day with a rifle that shoots potatoes at 60 pounds per square inch. Can you imagine if I was deranged?
Do more and stay active with O2 Dermaleaf, the ache and pain relief gel like no other. No smell, no tingling sensation, and no greasy feel. O2 Dermaleaf is a natural pain relief for everyday aches, pains, bumps, and bruises. Oxygen is the secret. It's the natural way to relieve and revitalize. Your joints, muscles, and skin need oxygen to thrive, and O2 Dermaleaf delivers a rich supply of molecular oxygen in a new, state-of-the-art formula. Every day we hear new stories of pain relief from satisfied customers. Shouldn't you try O2 Dermaleaf too? Score a $5 discount on your purchase of O2 Dermaleaf. Visit O2Dermaleaf.com and use promo code SOMO999. That's the letter O, the number 2, Dermaleaf.com, and enter SOMO999 to get your $5 discount.
Now back to your host.
Quarters 3, intruder alert. GQ3, intruder alert.
You've been warned.
All right, guys, welcome back to SoMo Garage. We're going to kind of change gears here a little bit, and so Chevrolet made a big announcement this week that they are going to unveil their new Cup car in August 10th, I believe. The move is being made because the SS, which is produced in Australia, will no longer be produced after this year. Now, keep in mind, Chevrolet has won 4 out of the first 11 Cup races so far this season by Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, and Ryan Newman. This may be a welcome change to the teams or a new learning curve. What is your opinion on that, guys?
I think it's going to be a huge learning curve. I mean, I know all the top teams that have been running up front are probably still going to continue running up front because they have the resources to do so, but it's not going to be, they're not just going to hop in them and be fast. The cars will most likely have a completely different aerodynamic profile, and I would assume, is going to take those guys a good bit to catch up with all those changes.
Yeah, and I was reading the article. They don't really say what they're going to, do they? Because I couldn't find it in there.
No, I didn't see that either. One thing that really, kind of puzzles me a little bit is that this SS is being produced in Australia. I mean, I'm a little surprised it's not made in America, but I mean, I'm not that surprised, seeing that that happens a lot. That's kind of a normal occurrence, but it's kind of disheartening a little bit to see that. I mean, I run the SS in the Cup Series, and that was not pleasurable to read by any means.
Yeah, and I was reading something else too, because after I talked to you about it, I'm running a Ford Fusion in the Cup Series, so I went on and started Googling to find out where Ford's made. Most of Ford and the package that they just signed, Ford has spent millions of dollars. I believe they're going back to, is it Michigan? And they're going to, reopen and start producing more up here in America. And that led me to a question that kind of has me, wondering, are people, like our guys who run in the, in iRacing, obviously, are they loyal to American-made cars, or does it not matter? Like, guys that find out now that the Chevy SS wasn't made in America, does that make a difference? Do they still run the Chevy SS, or do they, want an American product? I also read that more Toyotas are made in America than Chevy SS. So I was really surprised by that. With me, when you told me, you were thinking about maybe switching to Toyota, now after hearing that, I went looking to see where the Ford Fusion was made, and I was thinking the same thing. I was like, damn, Toyota's, wins with the most American-made cars. So I was like, well, maybe I might be switching to a Toyota too. But thankfully, Ford is still American-made. There is some made in Mexico. It's more of the compact cars that are made down in Mexico. But I know, I was reading about the deal that they signed. I think it's like $300 million to get them back up here in Michigan and revitalize. But and it's not something you really have to answer, but it's something I'd like people to think about and maybe chime in like next week's show or something. Does it matter to you that a car that you may be driving out there, or a truck you may be driving out there, is American made or not?
I think, well, I've raced a ton on iRacing, and I have seen that, and they're very brand specific. I don't know that it has to do with being made in America or not. Um, like usually it's a generational thing. Like, growing up, your dad drove Fords, and that's all you knew was Fords, and it's the same with Chevys, and I think it kind of follows that trend, but in real life, like, I get crap because I drive a Scion that's made by Toyota, and I tell people that Toyota actually produces more cars domestically than any other car brand. That a lot of them are made in Mexico or uh, Australia is a big one. They have Ford production facilities and Chevy over there. But yeah, like, where is it? Texas and California. I think Kentucky has a plant for Toyota as well. So they have the other manufacturers beat by a lot as far as productions and jobs for Americans.
I'll tell you what my opinion is. I think I'll be driving a Toyota next week.
You better get painting, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really upset about that. Now I have to go and look and see where the Camaro's made. I might be changing that too.
Like, I understand the reasoning behind it, and it's, I mean, from a business standpoint, you understand, they want to try to save money. So yeah, they take the product to another country where they can pay, pennies to the people that they would have to pay, a fair wage here. But at the same token, while you're supporting them and giving the money to them, you're taking away the jobs for, right here from us, and the chance for people to make money and, have a job in a field like that. So, it's a tough thing to hear. And me, I'm all for America, man. I'm American. I was born in America. I have nothing against any other countries that produce anything and whatnot, but I like to support American-made products, and I know a lot of people say, yeah, but American-made products are garbage. A lot of times, that's not always the case, you know what I mean? There's a lot of American-made products that are strong and withstand time. So, for me, I try to keep everything to, American-made as possible.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I never heard that before. I always heard that, American made products were just more expensive, but they were also more durable than a lot of stuff, you'd find overseas or whatever. But, I guess everybody has their own opinion about, products and whatnot. But, I'm with Paul. I'm a big supporter of America, and I would rather, keep the money here in America than bring it somewhere else. I mean, support American workers and American jobs for sure.
So now I would like to see, back in the day when we used to run SCE, I was big Pontiac, when Pontiac was here. And that I was brand specific on Pontiac, and I would love to see Pontiac come back in, even Dodge come back in, but I don't know. I know they were talking about that a while ago. I don't know where that's going to go, as far as Dodge, but there's rumors, about the Impala again making a way back in, as in place of the SS, but I haven't really found anything substantial.
I would assume uh, either Chevy's gonna bring back a Monte Carlo, or like you said, they would run to the Impala, something like that.
That'd be cool. I mean, I'm really interested to see what comes back. Yeah, I definitely I'm a Chevrolet fan. I mean, I've driven Dodges for years too, so um, definitely a lot of American-made stuff around here. But um, it's gonna be interesting to see what does come back. I think the Monte Carlo would be a cool a cool car to bring back. Just obviously a modern day version of what they used to have. But yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for the teams and all that to have to endure this because it is going to be a big learning curve for a lot of these teams and but just like anything, they'll adapt and they'll overcome. And this car that they're coming out with may be a lot better than what they have now. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. And we saw the new Toyota car come out, and teams are getting a handle on that, and it's starting to work for them. So just a matter of time.
Hey, did they say when? Is it going to come out during this season, or is it going to be after the season?
It'll come out next year, but I think they're going to unveil it August 10th.
All right. Well, at least they're not going to break it out halfway through the season. I mean, you got to look too. I mean, even the bigger teams, look at all the changes that the cars have gone through. When they went from carburetor to fuel injection, and then now to the electronic dash. I mean, there's just been so many changes, and then the aero packages and all. So it's kind of good to see that at least they're going to let this, run out before they go ahead and, demand more changes on, some of these teams.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, well, I know the Toyota, it wasn't a very welcome change from where I'm sitting because that means I had to redo all my paint schemes. So
Yeah.
I don't like doing that. It was just a pain in the butt. But this is a side note. If you want to buy a Toyota and you want to support American products, make sure you buy one that the VIN number starts with a number and not the letter J. If it starts with the letter J, it was built in Japan and imported.
Good to know.
A little fun fact.
That's good to know. Good to know for sure.
Joe's full of them facts, man. See, Joe?
Yeah, I got all kinds of pointless information stored.
Well, that's good. You're the go-to guy for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Every group's got to have one of them, right?
Yeah. So another interesting story that I stumbled across the other day, Kyle Busch. There was talks after he leaves the Cup Series. When he's done with the Cup Series, he's talking about running a full season in the Truck Series to try to create the trifecta, winning winning a championship in all three of NASCAR's top series. I thought that was an interesting story because there's not a lot of guys out there that have done that, and I think he's definitely one that he could easily. I mean, Kyle Busch, when he enters a truck race, he pretty much wins it, unless something crazy happens. But that's kind of cool, that he would want to do that. Pretty much a lot of drivers, when they're ready to leave the Cup Series, they're ready to retire and just kind of put it behind them. But he's a racer for sure, and I think that'd be cool to see.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's for sure. It was pretty shocking to read, actually, because like you said, when most Cup guys leave, they usually have some type of investment into a sport or in one of the other series. Like Kyle owns his own truck team, and it's pretty surprising to me that he would want to do that. I mean, like past drivers have won championships for that organization, so it's not like there isn't a championship trophy at the shop, but it is cool that he would want to do that. And I think running full time, well, we were on the topic of jobs and everything, it creates more jobs too, running a whole nother team full season.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh.
I was just going to say, like usually from the Cup Series to the Truck Series, at least the way it used to be, the Truck Series is a lot more harder race because you have guys coming up, a lot more chances. There's usually a lot more wrecks, a lot more harder wrecks because, it's guys are trying to make their name, trying to make their way. The trucks, usually you see a lot of beating and banging. I mean, a lot of hard racing. So you would think somebody that comes out of the Cup Series ready to retire wouldn't want to go back to that kind of, I don't want to say brutal because it's not brutal, but, it's a lot different than the Cup Series. So, You know, when I saw that story too, I was like, but it makes me wonder now also, when, like, what's the timeline? Is this something that he's thinking about doing anytime soon, or is this just, you know, talking a little bit now, but this, you know, could be 5 or 6 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Kyle Busch is terribly old, is he? Isn't he in his early 30s, maybe? I'm not sure how old he is, but um, now I think he's still got a lot of racing left in him for sure. And you know, at the end of his career, he might completely change his mind and say, you know, I don't know if I want to do that
Yeah.
anymore. So, you know, but it was kind of cool to you know, to hear that story and you know, see if another driver can pull that off. You know, I mean that's definitely a cool thing to do. I mean, winning championships in all three of NASCAR's top series, that's not an easy task. So, especially the Cup Series. So, definitely cool to see. So, guys, as we brushed on a little earlier, um, NASCAR continues to manipulate the racing surfaces throughout the schedule, and they're adding VHT. They added it this week to the top surface at Charlotte, and from what I saw, the first, because I mean, they ran about 150 laps, you know, so far tonight. The top surface seemed to work well for a lot of guys. Some guys it didn't, but it seems to be adding a lot more racing on the racetrack. You're Some guys are down low, some guys are up high, and you know, it's just it's another, you know, outlet, you know, for these guys to be able to make passes and stuff like that. So um, I believe they've used that on a couple of different tracks this year. Joe might be a better guy to fill us in on that, but I think I'm all for it. If we can make the racing more exciting, let's do it.
Yeah, I agree, and I it's nice to see that NASCAR has finally. I don't know if listening to the fans is the way to put it, but like they finally see a problem and are addressing it head on, and you know it's not like it's hurting the competition by any means. It's making the racing that much better. You get to see more side by side action, more passing, and it just makes it better for the fans. You get more for your money, and well, I know the king of stupid facts here. Texas, Bristol, and now Charlotte are the three tracks that have tried it this year, and they're all owned by the same company, Speedway Motorsports Inc. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, I definitely I like I'm all for making racing more exciting. But I'm just not for change. I think NASCAR's had their fair share of changes over the past 10 years, maybe more. So I'm really, I would really like for them to focus. As a fan, I would like them to focus on making the racing more exciting, and stop changing drastically so many things. I think change or exciting racing could be created without making so many changes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone about this the other day, and I said if NASCAR wants to get back to the old fashioned awesome racing that we all grew up with, then they need to get rid of the front splitter and get these front bumpers up off the ground, let some airflow underneath the car, make them drive like crap again, because that's when the racing it was just so much better back then, and to like to an extent they're harder to drive, but it's more forgiving. Like we saw, was it the All Star race? Eric Jones went to he tried to make a move to the inside and just completely destroyed the front end of his car. And you would see less of that. And I think it's nice to see them going smaller and smaller on the splitter, but I would like to see them just do away with it altogether.
I think um, when they came out with the car tomorrow, that was like a clean slate for NASCAR. You know, the car looked like crap, it handled like crap, And that was kind of like the grassroots right there. And before that, they had, remember, the quote unquote, they called it the Twisted Sister, and that car was so jacked up, the body was hanging off one side, up in the back. You know, Spoiler about 10 feet tall. The car. They handled amazing. The axles were all offset, and you know, now we're starting to get the car of tomorrow slash Twisted Sister back again. It's just all these aero changes and all these changes to make these cars drive better and go faster, and it's almost like a cycle that keeps on repeating itself.
It's like they haven't found, oh, excuse me, they haven't found that spot, where it's settled in the way they want it, and they can let it run out a little bit and let these teams actually, figure out mechanical, as opposed to, it's the racing's definitely a little bit better because guys are racing harder for that, those extra points and all. But I don't think it's because of the car.
No, I think just the segments and the points and stuff has just made people drive harder right now. There really hasn't been a major, like, substantial change to the car, and it's like Aaron said. I think people don't really think of this is that humans are like repetitive and creatures of habit, and I feel like NASCAR is a prime example of that, and they don't study the history and they keep repeating it and it shows with the cars. They might look newer with different body lines and such, but it's the same problems that keep occurring. They keep progressing the cars, and it keeps going back to a certain type of racing. And I think they just need to, like, take a lot of downforce away to make it, or have any shot at making the racing great again.
Yeah, and it seems like they've tried to do that. They've cut the spoilers down. They've done a lot, and it seems like when they get a certain amount of feedback, especially from drivers, saying, "Hey, this car handles like crap. You got to do something about it." Then they'll start going the other way again, and kind of making them handle better. And it's a fine line because you got to keep the fans happy. You got the fans saying, well, we want to see exciting racing from the drop of the green flag all the way to the checkered flag. And our fan base is the biggest clientele NASCAR's got, so they have to keep them happy, and we get that. But we also have to keep the racers happy to an extent too. They're the ones that perform. They're the ones that put on the show for everybody to see. So I understand, and I'm not gonna down NASCAR, that they have a hard job to do, and they have to make everybody happy to the best extent they can, while still putting a product out there that is safe for these guys to get in and drive every weekend. And so there's a lot going on, and I think they're doing a good job. But yes, history is definitely repeating itself, and I think that's screaming louder than ever these days.
It's almost like running a league, man. You get some happy, you got some complaining. If you change it to fix the complaining, then the ones that were happy are complaining. So I think they just need to find that middle line. And I think if they do, I think, like if Joe said, if they went back and tried, and I know, like, the thing is they'd have to try it, but they can do it in testing, and not bring it out and force it on everybody until they've got it down to where it should be. But maybe taking the front splitter off and going back to driving, and get some guys out there that can test it, run it, and see if it's going to perform, and give them what they're looking for, instead of all these poking and changing. Every time you turn around, something else is changing on here. It's just like, we don't even run in there, but could you imagine the changes you got to go through every time something comes out to change?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm sure it's crazy expensive too for the teams to keep up with that. I'm glad that NASCAR hasn't adopted my philosophy because if it were up to me, I don't care what the drivers think. If it makes making 40 guys mad to please 200,000. I'm gonna do what the fans want. So I'm glad that they look at the whole picture and not from my single-minded point of view, I guess.
Man, you're rough, dude.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you think about it, you make 200,000 people happy and 40 guys upset. I think you did a pretty good job.
So speaking of changes, more changes on the horizon for 2018. NASCAR is going to make some big changes to the 2018 NASCAR schedule.
Yes, sir.
The biggest change is the Charlotte Road Course is being introduced. Ugh. Richmond is being brought into the Chase in Outing, New Hampshire, out of the Chase. The season finale will be held at Las Vegas. That I like. Everything else, I don't know about it. But what are your thoughts on this, guys?
I'm so happy that they have changed the Chase schedule up because it's just been year after year of it just seems stagnant and boring. I mean, I know that the pressure ramps up for the teams and they're going for a championship but it's just nice to it's a welcome change, I think, to see some different tracks. I don't know how I feel about the whole Charlotte road course thing. I'm just glad they didn't like make the all-star race there because I would have just been done with NASCAR, I think.
Paul, don't make us run it, man.
Well, here's what I say, because we went testing on it, but even if you watch Parker Kligerman, I think it was, and who was it? I think AJ Allmendinger, they just had a video out with him out there testing on it, in the Cup car. If iRacing scans it after they make the changes to it, then I would be open to, testing on it and bringing it in. But the way it is now, it's not even going to be close to what they're doing to the track. So it's going to be totally different. I don't know. I like it. I like road courses, so I'm not totally against it. I'm just glad it wasn't the all-star race. I wouldn't mind seeing it in, as part of the Chase series and kind of switching it up a little bit. Because like Joe said, during the Chase, you kind of know what drivers are good at what tracks, who's almost going to win, how they're going to get their advantage to, advance in the Chase. So, maybe changing it up a little bit might, open up a little bit of doors there. But, I don't know if iRace is going to be able to jump right on it and scan it as soon as they're done working the track, and they may not want to spend all that money to go and scan it just for the next year for them to go ahead and change it again. So, but it was fun. It's just a very difficult track to run.
I'm a big fan of the change from Homestead to Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas is a much better track than Homestead.
Yeah, I like that.
Never ever cared for Homestead. They could just bulldoze that place to the ground, and I couldn't care less. Las Vegas is. I think the racing there is a lot more exciting. It seems like Homestead, you got the same kind of like what you were just saying, Paul. You got the same guys that kind of run up front, pretty much know they're going to run up front there, and that's going to be a welcome change, and I think it's a change that has been coming for a long time. They've ran at Homestead for years during the finale, so I think that's going to be cool.
And it makes more sense to run it at Vegas because that's where they have all the awards and everything now, right at Vegas.
Yep.
So, why not just keep it there? And I mean, Vegas is definitely a good track. Definitely going to produce a lot of good racing, especially for the final race. So, that's something that's definitely welcome. I just, I don't know, man. It's just, there's a few more tracks I would have changed other than, putting Richmond and taking out Martinsville. How I feel about Richmond. I mean, I like the track. I just don't do well on it. So it's not really one of my favorites. But I think, the little bit of changing they're doing is okay, but I would have changed it up a little bit more if I had any say in it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's New Hampshire, not Martinsville, but I'm
sorry.
Glad to see New Hampshire go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Aaron. I can't stand Homestead. I could do without ever having to see that name pop up on a schedule ever again. I like that they took New Hampshire out. I think the racing at Richmond is better than it is in, I know what they're trying to do is Richmond's more of a physical short track than New Hampshire, and I mean I like that change. They also changed the race. The last race before the chase starts is Talladega now. I don't recall what it used to be, um, but I don't know how I feel about that one either. But that's kind of like a double whammy because there's guys that are trying to get in points and everything, and it just makes it even more up in the air having a plate track to be the last race before the chase starts.
I thought it was Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond's the last race right now for the chase, and right after Richmond, I believe. I know they go to Talladega after that. I'm just not sure if it's right after or if it's a couple after. But I think in the chase, the plate track should be taken off because it's skill, but it's luck too. I think you need to put a driver track into the chase and actually have the drivers drive.
Yeah, this is a conversation we've had a lot in the past, and I think even throwing a different road course in there like Sonoma, giving Sonoma a shot in the chase to get the plate track out of there, because I mean it's a road course and a lot can happen, but I think there were plenty of other changes, I guess, that they could have made. I would have liked to have seen more, but I'm really happy that they have made the changes that they did because I'm sure that it's been the same way since it started, basically, and it's just nice to see a different schedule up there for it, and hopefully it brings some different kind of racing, I guess.
And you never know, this may, open up the door for some more changes in that schedule for, the following season or, the following two seasons. So, at least they're doing something about it. I know fans have been saying for the longest time they wanted to see a change in the chase. So, a couple tracks, couple different things. Canadian Tire would be nice to see in there. Maybe Road Atlanta or something. I like Sonoma, but they already run at Sonoma, so I'd hate to see that come back again as a chase track. Maybe something in there that's not on the schedule. Canadian Tire, Road Atlanta, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree completely. But if NASCAR is going to make changes, let's make changes to the schedule. Let's make changes like that, not change the format of the races and just the cars so much. I mean, let's just kind of let's make changes like that. I mean, I think we can create more exciting racing by manipulating the schedule than to change the cars or add segments to races or whatever. But that's a welcome change for sure.
Yeah.
To see that. So, all right, guys, we're getting down to the end of this here. Paul, you want to talk about the hub a little bit?
All right, everybody, time for the Hub Sim Racing giveaways on Facebook. If you haven't been there already, go to the Hub on Facebook, join. Matter of fact, we just seen a bunch of pictures of guys posting some of the things that they've won the last couple days. I've seen the shifters, the what is it, the T8 TH8, I think it is, shifter going by. I know Joe just got his headset that he won on there. And basically what it is on the Hub, you go on there, they usually post a poll now of what you would like to see on there. Wheels, button boxes, wheelbases, pedals, see what the majority wants. You get a couple of slots in there. The slots are priced, whatever the price is, whether it's $6 a slot, $3 a slot, $8 a slot, $20 a slot. You can buy as many slots as you want. And when all the slots are filled up, they do a live drawing on randomize, and the number that's picked is the winner. So, if you buy two slots for, $8 a slot, you spend $16. And, what you're shooting for is a set of V3 pedals that are, $500 or $600. Well, you just got them for $16, brand new, shipped to your door. So, and they do everything from iRacing cards, shifters, button boxes, wheels, computers, screens, Oculus Rifts. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on and everything's new. And Joe, I know you just got your headset, right?
Yes, sir. It was a Logitech G930. Looking online, they're like 70 or 80 bucks. I spent $20 on some slots, and I ended up coming away being the winner. So it was nice to finally win something. I know it's all luck of the draw, but yeah, it's definitely awesome. It's a great thing they have going on over there, and it doesn't get any more real or legitimate than these guys are doing it. So definitely go check those guys out.
And oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I was just gonna say, you just won the 600, man. So don't be talking about winning stuff.
Yeah. But if you go to the hub and you're new to sign on, if you're a new member, if you tell them that SoMo Garage, you heard it on SoMo Garage, Tyler will give you 50% off of your first slot. That's only the new members. So just let them know SoMo Garage, and they'll hook you up. Just join. You can watch. I haven't been on in a while. I haven't really had any extra money that I can put down right now. So I just get the warnings of what's coming up, and I look and there's a lot of things that go by, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I had some money right now to put down on that and take a shot. But there's a lot of things I have to let pass right now. But you can do the same. Join, see if it's something that interests you. You got a couple extra bucks, you want to take a shot at it, go for it. Totally legit, totally on the money. These guys are here to help us get some of the stuff that we want and what we need for iRacing and sim racing at a fraction of the cost, and all brand new stuff. So go check them out. That's the hub. Sim racing giveaways on Facebook.
So we got a bit of a light week coming up here, light schedule. I think we're off Tuesday. Is that right, Paul?
Yeah, we're off Tuesday, and we decided we're not going to put anything up. We're just going to take a break this week. I figured with graduations, and then summer and everything coming, kids getting off of school. I know with me, I'm buried right now, so a night off is going to be nice.
Yeah, I hear that for sure. So we got Richmond coming up this week in the Cup Series and the Xfinity car. Is that right?
No, you know what? I made a mistake when I put it down. We're at Dover on Wednesday night in the Lazy Days Racing Xfinity Series, and it's sponsored by Hardee's of Richmond, Virginia. And that's, what I did was I ended up seeing Richmond, and I put Richmond. And then same thing on Thursday night, the Lazy Days Racing Cup Series is also at Dover for 145 laps, and that's also sponsored by Hardee's of Richmond, Virginia. And one of the guys said, dude, where are we at? Your schedule says Dover, but you're saying Richmond. And I was like, well, don't you see the connection? Hardee's of Richmond, Virginia. But we are at Dover both nights, 135 laps in the Lazy Days Racing Xfinity Series on Wednesday, and then 145 laps in the Lazy Days Racing Cup Series on Thursday. So definitely going to be a lot of fun. Dover's a real good track, man.
Yeah, Dover's fun. Definitely looking forward to that. And Richmond in the Cup car should be exciting, and hopefully we'll have a good race then too. But well, guys, that time has come again, and we appreciate you guys coming on and us having another good show tonight. And we appreciate everybody that watches or listens to us. And enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and please be safe out there.
Yeah, and don't forget to, just think about all the people that gave, that serve, and help fight for our freedoms. It's sometimes, it's things that we take for granted because we're so used to having our freedoms, but that could easily change. So, just reflect on it, I guess, and if you feel like we do and you're thankful of it, just let it be shown. Have a good night, everyone.